Hello.
Great, great.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good
morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so that's great, great. Morning, everyone. And thank you all for joining us today on our Savvas Realize walkthrough session. Now, before we start, I need to check some technical points. If you can all hear me, if you can all see me, please type in the chat box your school's name and from which city or which country. It's great. So I can see from Saudi, we got a lot of teachers from Saudi, from Jordan. That's great. St. John, oh, from Egypt as well. That's great. Thank you, everyone. We're also getting a lot of, so we got from Dubai, Sharjah. It's great, great. We're so happy to have you here, everyone. Now, before we start, I am Lutfi Saleh. I'm going to be your moderator for today's training session. And it's my pleasure to welcome all the educators who have joined us to learn more about this amazing award-winning Savvas Realize platform. In case that you're not very familiar with the Realize, it has earned a Tech and Learning 2021 Award of Excellence for Best Remote and Blended Learning Tools for K-12. Judges based on this award for exceptional technology solutions that help students, parents, and teachers succeed. Here are the dynamic presenters who are ready to share the what and how of the Savvas Realize platform. So I have with me great trainers, Dr. Loretta Sanders, and I have another amazing trainer as well, Brandon Mosby. So we will spend some time to show you the fabulous components of the Savvas Realize and how you can make your life easier with access to endless amount of resources. This is going to be our agenda. Part 1. So that's going to be for part 2. We're going to learn about the pedagogy. And the last part is going to be, we're going to have our session. So we're going to go through the online resources. And at the end, if you have any questions, any concerns, we'd be happy to answer all of them. So allow me to welcome again our members, our training department with us, and our management as well from the Perfect Beauty Future Education. Again, there have been a tremendous support from everyone. And we're going to see now a short video about the company and the team that are making education just click away. So we're going to look at the video now, and then we'll go back again.
As education evolves, we continuously acquire strategic and tactical methodologies in providing complete groundbreaking solutions to our partners, which enhance the teaching and learning experience. Our exclusive library of iconic programs sets the standard of excellence in educational resources from our partners. We are Perfect Purity, a learning solution organization that has been working in the Middle East region, supplying educational books and resources to schools, universities, and academic institutions. We embrace new technology, innovative solutions, trends in education, and data-driven resources through our partners. We are the exclusive distributor of Savvas Learning Company. We offer psychometric assessment designed by University of Cambridge. We have successfully achieved 2 ISO certificates in education through Pearson Assured Service and Gatehouse Awards Quality Endorsement Scheme. and we deliver specialized training courses through Bridge Education Group. Our core resources and materials span across 4 main sectors: U.S. schools curriculums K through 12, UK schools curriculum K through 12, higher education, and English language teaching. Perfect Purity is a powerhouse distributor with programs that sets trends in education and provide clients continuous dynamic support throughout the academic year. We are here with you every step of the way with endless support and a wide range of services after materials delivery, including training and professional development courses with internationally accredited certificates. It is our Perfect Purity commitment to you and the future of learning, integrity, support, and excellence.
Again, I want to welcome all the teachers that are joining now as well. Before we start this session, please note that the session will be recorded. Just a few reminders and a couple of points share with you that one of the presenters, while walking you through the online platform, if you have any questions or any concerns, we have the chat box open for you. So if you have any questions, just drop them. And please make sure that you send it to everyone so we can all share in case any other teacher will have a similar question. And we also, we're going to share with you an additional link in case after this session, you have any questions after looking through the platform maybe. And adding to all of that, at the end of the session, we're going to leave 10-15 minutes for question and answers in case you have any questions. That's a quick reminder. Again, we're going to have a lot of fun today. And our presenters today, Dr. Roletta and Brandon, they're going to take us on this amazing journey today so we can start exploring. So we got, the floor is yours. Brandon.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I wish you great tidings this morning from all of us here at Perfect Purity. Today's session is going to be dealing with Savvas Realize. So I do have a question for you. I am going to be launching it as a poll on our platform. So the question is, how familiar are you with the Savvas Realize platform? So there's a question that should have popped up in your Zoom call. How familiar are you with the Savvas Realize platform? I am new. I am somewhat familiar. I can locate what I use only. I am very familiar. I can locate all of the resources, or I am an expert and I can train others at my school. So take a brief moment to answer that question. All right, I'm excited to see some of the answers that are coming in. So we have a large portion that are new. Have a nice bit of people who are already familiar with the platform. All right. Excellent. So thank you so much for participating. So right now we have a nice even split between people who are very much new to the Savvas Realize platform and those of you that are somewhat familiar and can locate what you can use. And then to those of you that are very familiar and you can locate all the resources, thank you so much for contributing today and participating today. And maybe, hopefully, we'll be able to show you something additional that maybe you're like, I didn't think about, I could use that in that way. So today, we're going to be looking at the Savvas Realize Learning Platform. Okay. One of the things that I would like to first bring to your attention is that for those of you that do not have your logins as of yet, those will be coming through your administration at your school. For those of you that do have your logins, you're welcome to follow along with me this morning to click around and get a little bit familiar with the program. Once you get your login, you will be able to access savvasrealize.com, and then you're going to go click on sign in. Okay, so I am going to be operating with a demo account today. So today through my account, you are actually going to see a variety of different resources that you may not necessarily have for your particular subject area, depending on what level and grade that you teach. But my goal today is to show you all of the different things that you can possibly do with the Savvas Realize digital platform. So once you get your administrative logins, you are going to, of course, sign in to your platform. Now, for those of you that are returning, those of you that are saying, I'm familiar with the platform, I'm not necessarily new, but I can find some things. If you have not logged on since the summer, you will notice that we have gotten a bit of a facelift. If you have not logged on since you left for summer break. Savvas Realize is working on making sure that our platform is click friendly for you. We want to make sure that the ease of access works in your benefit. So our homepage has had a few adjustments. The first thing that you will notice here on our homepage is that your classes that you will have access to are now on our Savvas Realize homepage. They are also color coded. So these are all the different classes that are linked to my demo account. So for those of you that are wondering, I don't understand what you're saying about classes. So if you are a high school teacher, most of you teach multiple sections. So let's say you are a biology teacher and you also teach chemistry. Each of these would represent your biology class or your chemistry class. If you are an elementary teacher and you teach multiple sections, so maybe you teach 3A and you also teach 3B, you would have a section for 3A and 3B. Now, the reason for grouping these sections out on the homepage is just so that it can be a little bit easier for you to see a little bit of information. For those of you that are returning, you will notice that there are some new icons on the bottom. Now, these icons are very similar, if not the same, to the ones that are at the top of the screen. So from this screen, you will be able to see assignments that you have already assigned. You will be able to quick access our built-in calendar that we have. You also will be able to see your students and the groupings that you can create. And then we also have a quick access tab to data, along with the textbooks that are assigned to that particular class. So you have all of this quick access from the front page. Now, if you are saying, those little icons might be a little bit too small for me, almost everything that is here at the bottom is also found at the top. We utilize Browse to access our textbook. We utilize Classes to access your calendar and your student groupings and assignments. We utilize Data to, of course, access all of the wonderful data that will be collected on our program. And then today we'll also talk about a little bit of what is housed in my library. So let's get started with the Browse tab. So I'm going to click on Browse. Browse is going to take us to all of the textbooks that you would have available. So again, I am accessing a demo account. My demo account actually has a wide range of textbooks. You would only have listed here the textbooks that you are using for your particular class. Okay, so if you have grade 3 science class, you would have grade 3 science textbooks. If you have a kindergarten class, you would have your kindergarten textbooks. If you are teaching chemistry, you would have a chemistry textbook. If you're teaching multiple subjects, you would have a textbook for each of those subjects. All right, I am going to access Elevate Science textbook here for grade 4. And what I would love to point out to you is that the ease of use that you're going to see here on the platform is going to go throughout each of the grade levels and each of the subject areas that we have. I think it's a wonderful way for it to be laid out. The way you see it from our end is actually a small but modified version of what you would also see from the students' end. I think it's an amazing feature because as students matriculate through your school system utilizing Savvas, realize they don't have to get used to a new platform. I know that was one of the concerns that a lot of teachers had when we first went into this pandemic era of teaching, that we all were teaching students all of these different platforms that they needed to know, all of these different logins that they needed to know. However, if your students are utilizing science, math, English, social study programs with us, they are seeing the exact same thing, and it works very similar for you as well. A few of the things I want to point out on this front page is that you are going to have access to your table of contents. You're going to have access to a way to search all of the different resources that we have. You have a way of searching through material through standards. For those of you working with English books or English textbooks, or if there are any leveled readers a part of your program, there is a way to search for leveled readers through our program here through this tab. You will also be able to access our e-text through e-text. And then for each program, the tools section will vary. So for math programs, you'll have additional calculators. For English programs, there's PDFs that are also found here. And for all of our programs, we actually have access to an assessment download center called ExamView that you will have additional access to create and modify different tests. Okay, before we get into all of the details of the program, one of the things that I will highly recommend to you once you get access to your actual subject area and you get access to your teacher credentials is to definitely look over your table of contents. Your table of contents area is going to start with a getting started, which will give you additional information on your program. And depending on the program, the different type of resources that you can find here and get it started range from unit plans to curriculum maps to topic arrangements. We have NGSS correlation guides here. You have a variety of different resources. Your Getting Started tab, for those of you that are brand new, is a great way to get started with our program. We have program overview videos, program overview documents, scope and sequence, all of those good teacher resources that you need to support how you're going to plan out your lessons and materials are all greatly found here in the Getting Started tab. All of our programs also have a distance learning support. This is just great for you, especially those of you that are a little bit unsure this year whether you are going to be in online settings only or maybe in class only. If you are using our distance learning, or if you're choosing to do distance learning at your school, the distance learning support folder will help you throughout your year by identifying priority content to make sure that our students are understanding and getting all of those major standards that will give them a foundational support to advance to the next grade. all right? Once you get started, once you look through your distance learning, the remainder of the material that is found under table of contents will all deal directly with your content information. It can be separated by topic. It might be specified by unit, as in English. It might be using new words such as storylines and investigations as found in our experience chemistry and physics program. However, one of the best things that I really like about the table of contents page is that all of this can be modified and moved around for you as you like. So if you see here on the right, so we're going to go from thumbnail view, we're going to go down to create content, and then we're going to see the button rearrange. Rearrange actually allows you to move these folders around to how you see fit, how it will best serve you, what you think will be best suited for your students. And some of our programs, the topics are listed chronologically. It's recommended to teach them in those ways. And some of our other programs, a lot of teachers like to take a little bit from here and take a little bit from here, and they like to shift things around just based off the school year, the time you're getting started, and how you like to teach information, right? I'm a former teacher and I absolutely get it. There are certain things that I want to teach first, regardless of if the book has it listed first. So you have that flexibility to move things around on this table of content page. As we scroll down the table of contents, you're also going to have access to all of your different program resources, the credits and information that can be found or supports that will support this program. And then additionally, typically you'll be able to find student PDFs, textbook for the teachers, a lot of quick resources that can be found on our table of content. Now, before we get into the details of the overall platform, I want to move across. So we started with table of contents, and I want us to move to resources. So resources is just that. A lot of times, especially with you being new or maybe not as familiar with the program, maybe you're looking for something very specific. You're looking for a test, you're looking for an activity, you're looking for a virtual lab, you're looking for a special kind of reader. Our resources tab allows you to type in material here, and it allows you to look for those particular things as they are related to your specific program. So for example, this is a grade 4 science topic. Maybe I am looking for virtual labs. I will click virtual labs, or I would type in virtual labs, and then I would click find it. What our resources tab is doing is searching throughout all of the resources we have already provided you for what you are looking for specifically. Now, some of the best features about this, of course, is the ability to filter out what you need. I am in grade 4, but maybe you need to look for items that are in grade 3 or grade 5, depending on the level of student that is happening in your classroom. Maybe you're looking for something that has a rubric or doesn't have a rubric. You're looking for an item that has documents or interactive media, or you're looking for things that are specifically that have great teacher resources or labs. However you choose to filter it, that will be found on the left. All of the things that we have related to what you typed in will be located on the right. And then you will get a chance to see all of the different titles. You can click on teacher resources, and it tells you what support as a teacher you would have. You also can click on info, and it tells you a little bit of information about the actual assignment. Not only is it going to tell you information about this particular assignment, it is also going to let you know what standards are attached to that assignment, along with keywords or vocabulary that are associated with this particular topic. So our resources is a great way for those of you that are just getting started. You're getting familiar with where everything is and how to actually access and move through the different folders. So you're doing all of those things, but hey, I want to know, do you have this one particular thing? This is a great place to come. All right. So all of your different resources will pop up. If there's multiple pages, you can scroll down and then you'll click to all of the different pages and you'll be able to see what is available for you. Another great way to find items on our platform for content purposes is by standards. So each program has their own set of standards. If you are looking for activities to go with something in particular, one particular standard you're looking for, you want to know all of the resources that you have available for that, you can come to standards. You would click through your set of standards. I am clicking down here, going all the way down to one particular one. I can select that particular standard, and then it is going to redirect me back to the resources tab, and it will pull up all of the information that is associated with that one particular standard. All right, so that is also another great way to find some resources. For those of you that will have access to all of our different reading materials, whether that is novels or leveled readers or all of the different types of reading activities that we have, you also will be able to access our leveled readers, and you can search for content based off those specific levels. So if you're looking for something by Lexile, you can do that. You can look for it by guided reading level. You can look for it by developmental reading assessments. And we also have access to the reading maturity metric. So you can come here, let's say you're looking specifically for a certain Lexile level. You are looking for any materials that fall within this particular range. You can adjust this timeline range, and then you'll press search, and all of the materials that are associated with your text and content that go along with this specific Lexile level will populate in our resources tab. All right. Also on this level, we can also access quickly the e-text from here. One of the things that I will say about Savvas Realize is that they have offered a multitude of places to find some of the same resources. So if you are in the table of contents, let's say you're in the table of contents, you're on the lesson level, you're looking for materials for your lesson, you're ready to assign some information, you can actually access directly the text from the actual lesson level. You don't have to come all the way out to e-text and open the book as a whole. But you do have this option. You will have access to the student's text. You also have access to your teacher text. This is just one of the many locations that you will be able to access it. All right. Now, I want to take us back to the table of contents just so that we can look at the lesson level. So we are looking at a science example today, but what I want to do is take you down into one of the topics. Now, for each of our programs, the layout is just a little bit different. They might use different wording, but the foundation of the program is very much the same. So we are going to actually look here at Earth features. Click open this topic level. And then once we get into your folder, depending on your program and how it is laid out, you may have folders for a topic launch, you may have lesson folders, you may have a topic close folder. This layout typically is found within the majority of all of our elementary to middle school programs. There are some programs that are separated by the organization of the program. So for example, we have some programs that will give you access to your 5E plan or your Connect, Investigate, Synthesize, and Demonstrate plan, and that will be found more so actually on the topic level as well, or in the lesson level here. So what you'll be able to do, you're going to be able to go here and we're going to click on topic 3. And inside our topic 3, that is where we're going to see that Connect, Investigate, Synthesize, and Demonstrate. Experience Chemistry and Physics have a 5E plan. Our biology program is also on the CISD. Our social studies is also on the CISD plan. As you see here, Elevate Science, K through 8, CISD. Our English programs do something a little bit different, but they arrange their material based off those particular layouts. The focus here, though, is not necessarily the exact layout, but what you can do with the lesson resources and what it looks like once you find something that you want to use. One of the things that I would like to point out is on the right, there typically will always be a teacher resource drop-down menu. This drop-down menu is filled with a variety of goodies, things that are really good for teachers to support you in your classroom, whether it is answer keys, annotated text, go home letters for your students, enrichment activities, remediation activities, extra practice problems, professional development, depending on the program. And when I say professional development, I mean those videos that will support you as a teacher in identifying ways to incorporate or to facilitate the learning that is happening in your classroom. So make sure you always check out the teacher resources. Now, it does vary depending on programs, but there's always something good here that you can use, okay? So once you get to the lesson level and we're looking at all of the different material, you will start to see a variety of different icons. If it has a book beside it, that is going to be some type of reading for your students. Actually, it will give you access to your e-text. If it has a play button, you will have videos that you can assign to your students. For those science teachers, all of your labs are recognized by flash. If it is a virtual lab, it will be a tablet with a flash. All of our programs have a nice bit of interactivities, assignments that you can give students where they can independently work, click, learn, have interactivity with drag and drop, or even interactive videos that will play for them on the screen. Anything that they can interact with will have this pointer symbol. You also will have, for worksheets, you will have looks like a document. And for any assessments, it will be a checkbox to check through it. Those are ways that you can check to make sure that your students understood the content that was being presented to them. All right. What I would like to show you here is what you can do at Assign. So for those of you that are absolutely interested in saying, wonderful, you have a digital platform, you have a variety of different resources. Now, how do I get this to my students? Very simple. Once you find the material that you want to use, you are going to click Assign, okay? So I'm gonna click Assign for you. It's very simple. You're gonna click Assign. It will automatically populate a title for you. But if you don't like the title that is automatically populated and you want this to be, it will go with the verbiage that is happening in your class. This is lab 1 for your students, and maybe the next lab is lab 2. You can add your own title. You're then going to add a start date and a due date for the assignment. So I'm going to select my start date as today, and this lab and all of the answers that go along with it, I would like for that to be turned in on the 16th, okay? So I give it a start date, give it a due date, and then I type in additional instructions. Please remember to upload your evidence. That's what we'll type for now. So you can add any additional instructions, whether it is about the assignment or in addition to the assignment that the students will need to complete. And then you will also then assign it to your students. So you can assign this by class. So I have a class in my demo account, Ms. Mosley's class. I can also assign it by student, student name Shama. I could also give this assignment by groups. So you will have the capability of creating different groups in our program. I actually have a group in this class, on this platform called Ace of Spades. So you can have a lot of flexibility in who you give assignments to. Now, some of you are thinking, why do I need all of that flexibility? Very simple. Maybe it's something that you're giving the first time to a whole class. Absolutely, give it to your whole entire class. Maybe there's a resource that you found on our platform that really could support Shama in bettering her performance in our class. Or let's say maybe you have identified some students on our platform that need a little bit of enrichment and they're a little bit ahead of your students. you can assign them an enrichment activity separate of the rest of the class. It maybe there is something that is specific to a group. So a lot of you like to do different group assignments, different group projects. You want them to focus on one particular set of research in your English class, and there's a reading that you want that particular group to read. You can assign them that particular reading, and it doesn't have to go to everyone. So you have the option again to assign it to your class, to a student, or even to a small group within your side of your class. Once you have entered all of the information that is needed, you are going to click assign. It is that simple. It will go out to your students automatically in their assignment folder on the Savvas Real Life platform from their perspective. And then you will be able to begin monitoring students' work as it is coming in, and I'll be able to show you where you can do that from as well. The other thing I would like to also show you on this level, because I show you how to assign a general assignment. Those of you that are interested in utilizing our platform for assessments, you can do that as well. Some great things to know about utilizing the assessments found on our platform. The majority of them are auto-graded, and I use the word majority because depending on your subject area and depending on the type of question that you choose, you may have to go in and manually grade anything that is a short answer or a small essay style question, okay? So if it is a drag and drop, if it is multiple select, if it is A, B, C, D, or E, we can automatically grade it on our platform, and those results can be collected for you and organized for you in our data tab. A few symbols that I want to point out here as well. If you notice, there is a little person that has a slash through it. That means this assignment is locked. Your students cannot see it as of yet. You would have to assign it in order for them to see it. The second thing that you also see here is a little chart with the arrow going up, 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 up. That means that this assignment is going to collect data for you. So it is a quiz that is also customizable. You would be able to go here and actually assign it online. They can complete it online, and then it will collect the data for you. Now, some of you are also thinking, but the internet at my school is really bad. And as much as I would love to use an online assessment, I really just need the pen paper version in order to give to my students. You have that option as well. So the second option here is the editable quiz. You will be able to click on this link. It will download the quiz for you. You're able to make modifications to that quiz as well, and then you're able to print it, make copies, and give it to your students for them to take it by pen and paper. Now, sometimes I will say teachers are a little hesitant about utilizing the resources that are here because of the internet connections that you may have at your school. Do not back away from all of the different things that we have that are available for you. You're welcome to get fun and creative in how you would like to deliver that information to your students. I have worked in schools where the internet was completely horrible for the students to log on. But from my teacher's desktop, I can show them a lot of different assignments and different work. You'll be able to do the same thing. Maybe it's something that you would have loved to give it to them individually, but maybe now it becomes a whole group activity with some small group interaction, and you can project it on a screen in the class if you're going back to school, or even through a Zoom call like how we're doing today. You can show it on your screen and still give your students an opportunity to work through that information. So even if you're having a little bit of technical difficulties, you still have a lot of different options and ways you can deliver this information to your students. Remember, as teachers, we want you to work smarter, right? Not harder. We want to make sure that you have the flexibility and resources, and we want to make sure that you have what you need to support the learning that's happening throughout your classroom. So make sure you're being a little bit creative about those different things if you are concerned about technical issues that happen on the platform or maybe inside of your schools. All right. Something else that I would like to point out while we are here with assessments is that You also have the ability to customize your assessment. So I am going to click here for customize. I scroll up and it says your new changes will appear the next time you assign this test. We're going to press OK. Customizing an assessment works for all of our programs, K through 12. The information that I'm providing here for you today can be used throughout each of these programs, and you'll be able to find information to do that. When you get ready to customize your assessment, you are welcome to edit the information that is found here. So you can change the title, you can add a little bit more to the description, and then you also have some other options. Do you want this test to be counted towards mastery? Yes or no? And then you also can offer a different number of tries for submissions and retakes, possibly if you want that to be an option for your students. As you scroll down, what you will begin to see is all of the different questions that are already populated for this particular quiz. Now, because it is a quiz, there are very small number of questions as to where if it were a test, you will probably have an upwards of at least 10 to 15 questions on your test, okay? What you would have to do when you go in, right now it says hide question, but you have the option to show question. It will also hyperlink all of the different standards that are attached to this particular question. So you would look at the question, you would read the question and its answer choices. If you like it, click hide question and you can move on to the next question. Let's say I get to question 2. I think this question is okay. I want to look at question 3. We'll get to question 3 and, I really like this picture, but I want this question to come up a little earlier. You have the option to rearrange the questions on this assessment as well. If you don't like the question, let's say for question 4, the internet is not really my friend here, so I don't know how the drag and drop will work. I can actually press the delete button and delete this question from the actual test. Let's say you made a mistake. That's not the question I wanted to delete. Very simple. Just press undo and the question will populate right back, okay? I also would like to point out here, especially with question number 4, you will also find that Savvas realized that we have next generation testing. The goal is to prepare your students for our ever-changing world. So the way we took tests in school, pen, paper, sitting front to back with students in a setting, whether you took state exams or government exams, took them all on pen and paper, a lot of the tests to get into higher education or into those post-secondary institutions involve students to take those tests on computers and actually drag and manipulate their answer choices. We have those types of questions like you see here for your students to get involved with their testing. The other thing that you also saw on question 3 that is very important is that we have already a lot of built-in pictures. How many of you have been looking for specific diagrams to go along with specific questions? You find yourself searching on your internet for one, trying to copy, paste it, screenshot it, do all of the different things, work all of your great teacher wonders to make it fit into a document and then print and then move it around and print again, right? So we actually already have a lot of diagrams built in for you, but you will, to find them and to go through them, you would access this way to look at the questions, add questions, delete questions, and then that's how you would customize your assessment. Once you are finished with your customizations, you have the option to preview the assignment. All right, this preview is through the eyes of your student. So how this showed up on your computer screen is how it would actually look to your students. For the top of the assessment, we do have a listen feature as we have with a lot of the different materials that we have. We have audio features built into the textbooks, but your students will be able to click and actually listen to the directions, and then they would click start on their assessment. You would be able to go through and actually look at each question and how it appears for your students. So I am not reading this question directly. I'm just going to choose an answer just so you can see how this actually works. Student will select an answer. They're going to click next. They're going to read this question and they're going to select another answer. Then they're going to click next. And they will keep doing this as they're reading all of the different pictures. This one allows them to select 2 answer choices. So they would select 2 different answer choices. They would go to their next question. This is a drag and drop question. So the students really would be picking up the material, moving it around to the correct section here. They would click next. They would make observations. They're reading this chart, and then they're going to click their answer. And then they're going to get to their last question, and this is a drop-down menu with multiple options. So from here, they would be selecting different question choices. So if you notice, there were a variety of different question styles and types that you would have access to. This is amazing and wonderful, and it allows your students to be interacting with the material that is on their screen. When they are finished answering their assessment, it will tell them, it will give them a review of their progress. At the top here on the right, it lets them know how many they actually answered. If it was unanswered, the status would say unanswered. If they're saying, I answered question 2, but I'm not really sure, they can go back at this point, click view question. They can change their answer, and then they would come back to our review progress screen. At the end, they're able to click submit test. And then what I do love about our program and our quizzes and assessments of that nature, it actually tells them an immediate feedback of what they actually need more practice with. Now, because I only got 2 out of 10 questions right in this case, I need a lot of practice, right? So my list for a practice is extremely long. However, if I were an A+ student, the students that sit in your classroom, I would have done a much better job, and it would have told me things that I've done great with. So not only ways, giving you information on ways to fix things, but it also gives you information on things that you're doing absolutely wonderful with. Now, some of you are thinking, my math is not adding up, right? So you're looking at this and you're saying that says 2 out of 10, but the quiz only had 6 questions. For a lot of the questions on the quiz, there were multiple parts. So this quiz actually counted them as separate actual questions or different pieces. Because there were multiple pieces, it gave them a point for each of those pieces. And then that's how it generated the score. So yes, it did have 6 questions, but each of our questions had multiple parts. And so it made sure to account for each of those parts with your students, okay? At the bottom, it will also tell your students which questions they got right, which questions they got wrong. And because we had questions that had multiple parts, like this one, this question 4 had 4 points because it had 4 different parts. It also tells me that I have partial credit on this question. So I want to click here. So because this is the screen that pops up after your students take your quiz or your assessment. Once your student takes the quiz or assessment, they have the option to go back and view question. So they can go back and look at the question. When they go back to look at the question, it does not tell them what they got right, and it does not tell them what they got wrong. And I added that word choice specifically here because this was a drag and drop, and we know that the student has partial credit on this question, but they cannot determine from this viewpoint which one of these was correct and which one of these was wrong. Now, sometimes the teachers are like, no, I wanted to go ahead and tell them what they need to know because that's one less thing that I would necessarily have to discuss. This is a feature that is built in to help protect the security of your test, because think about it. If Shama finishes her assessment early and she has all of the right and wrong answers, she would be able to share that information with another student. So this kind of keeps them from sharing out that information. Those of you that are super concerned about the security of the test and you're like, I wouldn't want to give digitally the same test to everybody. Remember how I showed you how to customize your test? You're welcome to create multiple versions or multiple options of that assessment. So if you notice, this one says copy 1 here in the top left. You can create multiple copies and assign them to those different groups that you've created on our platform. So you have a lot of different options. But it does give your students an opportunity to go back and look at the questions they know they absolutely got right, and then the ones that they know they absolutely got wrong. And then from here, they will just exit out of the test and be able to move on to the next assignment as well. Okay, so you have a lot of different options. While speaking about the customization of tests, it would also benefit you to know that we have what is called Exam View. Under our tools section, I clicked on this earlier. When you click on tools, there's an assessment download center. For all of our programs, it comes along with the Exam View suite. Exam View allows you to do additional customizations that you don't see here. It is attached to our question bank. It allows you to not only manipulate the questions, but it allows you to change the verbiage of those questions and move things around. It allows you to switch up the answer choices. You can utilize Exam View. I have used it as not only as an assessment tool, but I've also used it as a study guide for students if I'm interested in giving them a variety of different practice questions, or it's a place where I keep track of all of the questions that they're having a hard time with so that we can talk about them and we can go over them. You can use Exam View to print as a PDF. It will also come with an answer key. You can also create multiple versions. You can also switch up the answer choices. You can print it, give it to your students traditionally, or for those of you that are still interested in our online capabilities, you're welcome to download it back into our system and give it to your students or assign it to them on the platform. All right, so you have a lot of different customization options with assessments. Another feature that I really like about our program, and I'm gonna click back here to take us back to the topic level of our program of Elevate Science Grade 4. And we're gonna go to the topic close. So at the end of each of your topic or your unit or your storyline, depending on which program you are working in, there is going to be a test to test all of the information learned in that particular topic. You still have the same capabilities with the big test that you have with the quiz. So you can customize, you can assign, of course, you can give it to them as a printed version, or you can give it to them online and it be automatically graded. One of the things I wanted to show you with the assign feature for our assessment, so I clicked assign, the name is still gonna stay here the same. We're gonna have a start date because they're gonna do it today while they're in class. We're gonna give them some additional instructions. Please access your next assignment when complete. And then what I would like to show you is this feature on the bottom that you did not see on just a regular assignment. This feature says automatically assign remediation and enrichment activities to a student if this assessment shows that it's needed. You have the option to automatically assign remediation activities or things that will enrich your students just with the click of a button. If you're not interested in this additional assignment, very simple, you'll just make sure that it is unchecked. If it is checked, you will have to determine when you want this additional assignment due. So yes, if you assign a test on our platform, give it to your students, it will automatically grade it. Not only will it automatically grade it, it will also give out remediation and enrichment activities right after they submit their test. Okay, that is an amazing feature that a lot of you would be interested in using. And then your students, of course, would submit that work by the due date that is determined. Again, this is an option that you can assign to your whole class. You can choose to assign this to a group. You can choose to assign this to a student. All right, so you have that option as well when you're creating your assessment. All right. So you have accessed your table of contents, you have accessed the topic information, you've facilitated a lesson, you've gone through all of this information, and now you're very much interested in how this program can be managed from a teacher's perspective in regards to your classes and the data. So let's start to look at the information that is at the top of our platform here. So we've gone through table of contents, we've talked about your resources. We've talked about standards and leveled readers. We've talked about places you can find your e-texts and tools that can be found here, specifically ExamView or math tools, or depending on the program that it will vary. All right. One of the things that I would like to go to next is what you can do with our classes tab. So here at the top, I want to click on classes, and all of your classes would be listed here. So remember, I told you earlier, on our home page, we've given you this beautiful color-coded layout that separates all of your classes and the assignments that go with your class. This is the same information, it's just in a different place, okay? So for each of your classes, you would have, if you taught multiple classes, they would all be listed here. So if you only taught one class, you of course have one class roster. If you taught multiple classes, all of your classes would be listed here. And you have quick links for different things. So you have quick links for assignments, you have quick links for the calendar, discussions, student groups, class settings, and then if you needed to hide this particular class, you have that option to do so as well. Something that maybe some of you are seeing just by looking at this screen, it was also at the top and it is also at the bottom. You see, we do have an import Google Class feature. You have the option to import, if you are using Google Education, you have the option to import them directly to our platform. And then that way, any material that you are assigning from our platform will automatically go to your Google Classroom. It's an amazing feature so that your students don't have to worry about clicking for things on Google Classroom and clicking for things outside of Google Classroom. For the class that is connected to Google Classroom, you'll notice here, this is our original class. This class has that Google Classroom icon. This class is the one that is connected to Google Classroom. You would want to make sure that you are giving all of your different assignments and calendar, discussion board, all of those things are going through here, okay? Now, some of you are probably wondering, well, do you integrate with anybody else other than Google Classroom? We do have a few more integrations, and I would ask that you contact your school representative so that we can speak to our sales team about which ones can be integrated for you. One of the ones that I do know you will have access to is Schoolology, and then we also have a little bit of access to various learning management systems. However, we definitely have a premier partnership with Google Classroom, and we have the import Google Classroom feature already listed on the classes tab, okay? I'm gonna scroll down here to my class. Remember, I told you all of these are quick links, so we can look at assignments, our calendar, our discussion board, student groupings, class settings, and if you need to hide your class. The first thing that I am going to click on is assignments. This is where you are going to see everything that you have given your students by assigning it on our platform. Now, of course, if you don't assign it on our platform, it will not populate here, but you do have the option, of course, of utilizing our digital platform and seeing the work come through here in the assignments tab. Some of the things that I would like to point out. So if you remember earlier, we created an assignment, Lab 1, and we assigned it today, and you notice that the due date here is for tomorrow. There is a blank dash here for the score. And right now it's telling us that 0 out of 12 students have completed the assignment. So this is just a snapshot of information that will be given to your students. Additionally, it is recommended that you assign those reading texts that are on the lesson level for your students, especially for all of the programs that allow students to type in the actual textbook and put answers in. If you're using our digital interface, you have the capabilities of doing that as well. So you'll be able to assign them that part of the textbook, and then when they finish it, you will be able to see what information they have completed. Now, depending on what program you have and depending on what you like to give, you can assign a lot of different things through our platform. So just general view, let's scroll down. I've given a video, I've given a lab, I've assigned e-text, I've actually created an essay prompt for one of our English classes. I have given out tests. I have a playlist of work that we will speak about in a little bit. I've assigned interactivities. I've assigned different reading assignments. So everything is definitely assignable and can be given to your students. When you click on the information beside that assignment, it is going to give you some quick information about the assignment. So this was given to 12 students. Out of those 12 students, 10 of them have completed it, and currently nobody is working on it. So the 2 that have not completed the assignment haven't even started the assignment yet. It is also going to give me an average score. If you notice, this is actually a test, and all of the questions were automatically graded. So it's telling me already how well my students did on this assessment. I have the option to edit. I have the option to hide. I can preview this assignment, and I can even have quick links to go see the data. It gives me when I assigned it, when was the start date, the due date, and who I gave it to. And then it also lets me know what program it is a part of and the topic that it is also a part of. What I can do from this test, I can look at the students who completed the assignment. So I clicked on 10 completed. It is actually going to direct me to the student roster. It is going to let me know who has not completed it, who has not started. It's going to let me know who has completed it, and it's also going to tell me the score on that particular assignment. I can also click beside the student's name, and if I want to give a little bit of information to Giselle about her test, I can add a comment here and support Giselle in that regard. I can also review Giselle's information. So before I click on review, even when you're adding a comment, this goes directly to the student. So this will be a place that you can actually give feedback and comment back and forth with your student if that is something that you would prefer to do. That this is a place for you to do that as well. I want to see how well Giselle did on this particular test from this assessment level. I'm going to click review on the bottom right. And when I do so, it actually populates the assessment that Giselle worked on and that she completed. And then here it tells her what she needed practice with, what she successfully completed. And as I scroll down, I can start to see each of the questions that she got correct and the questions that she got wrong. So let's say I look at question 7. She got question 7 wrong. I can click view question. And I can actually see Giselle's answers here. And from here, I would actually be able to give Giselle a little bit of feedback about that particular question. Now, some of you are very much interested, well, I see Giselle, so what is the ease of access for me to see the rest of my students? Very simple. If you look here in the top right, so going across this banner here, exit test, you see Giselle Bryant's name. I'm gonna click the drop-down menu, and let's say I want to see how well Omar did on this assessment. I click Omar, it automatically tells me his score, and then it's going to bring up the same information for Omar. So you'll be able to click around to each of your students as well. If there was a question that you needed to grade, you would be able to also do that here. So remember, you'll be grading those short answers, small essay type of questions, and you'll be able to type in the final score for your student. Once you review the assignment, we're going to click exit, and it's going to begin taking us back to the assignment level that is on our actual platform. From here, you can go through and look at more assignments that your students have. You can preview the test again. You even have quick links to even access data. I'm going to click back for you. And not only can you see assignments by class, you can also see assignments by student. So you can see how well each student is completing the assignments in your class. So for example, let's take a look at Omar. Omar has not completed 16 of the assignments. He's getting an average score of 49%, and there's one assignment that he has not sent to me. But you can see here all of the assignments that they are or are not completing, and it's giving you an average of the test scores that they're also getting as well. Okay. Let's click back on assignments by class. So earlier today, earlier in our session, I assigned lab 1, but I maybe I did that by mistake, or maybe I have changed my mind about giving that assignment. So I don't need my students to complete it. How do I get rid of it? Very simple. You're going to click beside the assignment, and then you're going to come here to hide. Once you click hide, it will take it away from your list. You can unhide it by clicking undo. And then it also takes it away from your students for them not to complete as well. Let's say you've hidden it, but now you want to go back. You want to see where that assignment is. Maybe I meant to give it a little later. You can see here where it says show current, and you can see where it says hidden. We're going to click on hidden, and then you'll be able to see all the assignments that I've actually hidden from my students. Lab 1 being the one we just did. Okay, so you do have the option to see all of the things that are hidden from your students that you've hidden from them, and then you also have the options to see what is current. Another great feature is our calendar. Our calendar automatically populates any assignments that have been given. I just hit our assignment, but we did have an assignment that was due today, and it hyperlinks the assignment into the calendar. So we do have a calendar that is built in for you, and it stretches over the course of the school year. So this is last month where I've assigned different projects and practice prompts, of course. You can create your own event, and then you will also see different color coding for different classes as well. Another great feature that we also have built into our program is our discussion board. You have the capabilities of creating prompts on our platform and assigning those prompts to our students. Your students will then reply to your prompts, and they will be able to see openly the communication that is happening between their entire class. So you can use it as a place to do voting if you want. If there is a discussion that is happening in your classroom and maybe you want them to chime in on their decision. There are also different activities throughout a variety of our programs on our platform that actually already have discussion prompts that are available. You can assign them to your students as well. Your students will have access to a discussion board from their point of view. Again, they will read your information and your directions, and then they will reply based off what you have given them or told them to discuss. The next tab I would like for us to look at is students and groups. You have the capabilities of creating any type of group you like in our classroom or in our platform. And I'm going to click here where it says show group. So for every group that has been created with this teacher account, you can see the names listed here on the right. It is very easy to create a group and manage your group. So I have a group called Ace of Spades, and I'm going to click on Manage Students and Groups. You can see here all of my students that have a check mark are actually all a part of the group. You can create student groups for a variety of different reasons. Maybe you would like to create a group for leveled learning, right? You have an advanced group, you have a on-level group, and maybe you have a below-level group. Maybe you want to create groups because it's just going to be easier for you to distribute information to your groups online. So like I said earlier, for those of you that are interested in research and different articles that maybe your students are going to be doing small group activities in, you'll be able to assign those articles to those specific groups by creating them here. One of the things that I love about it is the ease of use for a teacher. We know that groups are very fluid in our classroom. On certain topics, I have students that are advanced and then they get to another topic and it's like they fall backwards and they're struggling. So you have the ease of just clicking the checkbox beside their name, and that is adding them or taking them away from the group. So because I clicked Omar's name off, he's no longer a part of this group, and then I can click it again and he's green, and now he is a part of the group. Once you make the changes to your group, you will also click Save. Another feature that I would love to point out to you here is the EL, so we can change the student's theme. For the most part, if your students are higher level, their platform looks very much like what you're seeing today. If you are interested in changing the early learning theme, which is highly recommended for our kindergartners, first grade, and second grade, it gives them a little bit more of an interactive theme. The buttons move around on the screen. It's a lot more student eye friendly. It's brighter, and they would be able to access all of their assignments from there as well. Okay. The next thing I would like for us to talk about is the data tab. Okay. Now, I do see a few people that are raising their hand. Feel free to send your messages in the group chat. My presenter number one, Ms. Loretta, or Dr. Loretta, is here today, and our moderator, Lucy, is also here, and he'll be more than glad to answer your questions as we are going along throughout the presentation. All right. In the data section, this is where every quiz and assessment, all of those responses are collected, and they're collected throughout the entire program. And when you click on the data tab, your classes information are going to be separate. So yes, if I teach grade 8 English and I also teach grade 10 English, I would have 2 separate classes for each of them, okay? And their data, of course, would be separated into their particular class. I am going to go down to my class, and I'm going to click here because this is going to access some data that we already have available for you. Now, once you select your class and you go to the data tab, you are going to see a lot of different information. The first screen that you're going to see is going to be a snapshot. The first thing you'll see is the average scores on assessment. So for all of the assessments that have taken place, you are going to see an overall score of how they performed on each of those assessments. Now, our system automatically logs mastery at 70%. Anything below 70 is below mastery. That number can be adjusted, but that would have to be adjusted on the administrative level for the entire school, of course. So that will be a discussion that would happen on campus with your administrative staff. So 70% is our pass rate. You will see a little bit of color coding. Now, this color coding, it is okay. I know I've worked at schools where 60 to 79% does not necessarily recommend or is stated being yellow. However, this is just separating it for your viewing pleasure, if you will. It's a great way just to separate out how your students are performing in general. So in general, my students are performing 0 to 59% on a variety of different assessments. They're performing a little bit more average on about the same number, but we're not quite in that full-on blue mastery range. I can see that just by looking at this graph. The second thing that you will also see on this page is going to be the progress. You will be able to see how well your students are with completing the assignments that are being assigned to them. This is inclusive of group assignments. This is inclusive of class assignments. This is also inclusive of tests. So we can see that my students are averaging 41% completion on these assignments. The last thing at the bottom is the usage. So how long are they spending on each of these assignments? So my students are averaging 3 minutes on each of the things that I've given them. There was one day that they averaged a little bit more time. It looks a little bit over 10 minutes, but you can see how they're performing. You can even see when the activity timed out due to inactivity. And you can also know that this is inclusive too of class and or group assignments along with assessments. All right. One of the features that I would like to show you with the time that we do have left here in our session is this, the one on average scores and assessments. All of these graphs are interactive. They're all interactive. And I want to click on this particular assessment. So I can go to one bar, look at that test and see more information. Once I click on that bar, it takes me to the details of the assignment. So here, this was a test on ecosystems. And one of the things that I like is that it starts you off with the standard analysis. So it is going to go through and it's going to look at all of the different standards that were given on this assessment. And it's going to let you know how your students performed on that particular standard. You can click with the arrows to the right or to the left, and you can learn more information about that particular standard. You can also see the standard codes at the bottom underneath the percentage. You can also click here and even see what this also represented. So this was about patterns, and you have the option to view additional resources on this particular standard. Additionally, for each of your students, it lets you know how well they performed on those standards as they are in the assessment. And then it also gives you an overall score of their mark from this particular assessment. The second thing I would like to point out is the question analysis. Question analysis is also a great way for you to just go in and see how well students are performing. So just even by our graph here, I can see that question 2, they did phenomenal. Question 3, phenomenal. Question 4, something went left for my students. So I can click here on question 4. It automatically takes me down to question 4, and then it gives me an opportunity to see what that question looked like. I can, from here, even look at this per student. So this is how Omar responded. But let's say, remember Giselle from earlier? I want to see how Giselle did. When I go here, I can also see that, oh my goodness, Giselle did not take my test. So you can also go back and forth with different students and just look at their information. Let's take a look at Travis. So I'm gonna look at Travis. Travis also got this question wrong. I can scroll down and see how Travis late to ask you about particular questions, ask you about different questions. You would be able to do that as well. So this is just a great way to say, okay, let me take a look at question 4 for you, Travis, and then you have a quick discussion. You can see also how the students did, how many of them got certain ones correct, how many students got them incorrect per question. The next tab I would like to show you here is student analysis. So this will go through each student question by question for that particular test. I can scroll down to Kenji, and I can actually go through each of Ken's questions on this particular test. He got this one correct. I can look at the next question. Again, another great way for you to not only review their assignment, but to have that small conference and be able to look at question by question, skill by skill, student by student. Additionally, student analysis and question analysis are all exportable documents that you can use. The last feature in the results by assignment is the performance analysis. So just overall, how are your students performing? For some of you, your break point in your class is 70%. Maybe I'm interested in pushing my students a little harder, so I want to look at 80%. How well are they performing at 80%? The break point here is going to be 80. I'm going to click show performance, and then it actually separates my students into 3 groups. The first group is all of those who scored less than 80%, all of them who scored more than 80%, and then there's a set of ungrouped students. For some of you, maybe you do pullouts, or maybe your student is not capable of being able to take the test online, but they did take the test and you already know how they perform. So let's say Celine took our test. She took it in a pullout, but she scored less than 80%. I can drag and drop her name over. I can then assign resources to each of these groups, giving them remediation or enrichment opportunities. The last tab that I would like to show you within the data tab is the class mastery by standard. This actually keeps track of how your students are performing per standard, per level of mastery, how well are they performing. Each time you've given them a question on a test that goes along with that particular standard, our system keeps track. Now, yes, those questions will be different, but the standards are the same. So this just allows you to keep track of how students are performing overall on each of the standards. So yes, it looks green here in the front. And then you notice as I start to click, we're struggling in some standards that I would probably definitely need to go back to. It is separated out by courses and classes. So you'll be able to keep up overall with how your students are performing. The last feature that I want to point out today before we move into our question and answer segment is the My Library feature. Now, a lot of you are excited about all of the resources that are going to be available. And that's amazing, right? It's great. We've given you a lot of different things. You're going to have a lot of flexibility. But some of you are like me, or like how I was as a teacher. I'm a former science teacher. My favorite subject is biology. And there are certain things when I teach DNA that I always use. I use certain videos, I use certain worksheets because it works. It works for me, it works for my students, it works for how I manage my classroom. We don't want to leave you hanging in that regard. My library is a place where you can upload those additional files, those additional links. You can build your own tests. You can create a playlist. You can even, as I've mentioned before, on the lesson level, create or add content there so that you can have these things directly built into the topic that you want them to align to. Okay, so you have the capabilities of adding to the material that we're already giving you and making sure that your class is fully supported with the resources that you know will make for a successful school year. Last but not least, I will also like to point out for you our question mark here at the top of the bar. This question mark allows you to access Savvas Realize training, my training with Savvas Realize. We have quick links, additional documents, videos to support you throughout. We are an in-house training team for all of your needs, and we are excited about supporting you throughout the school year. If you're unable to get into a session with us immediately, never hesitate to use this question mark to go find additional resources. And if you're unable to access what you need there, please contact your school representative, and then they will contact us, and we'll be more than glad to go even a little bit more in depth about all of the different things that we have happening here with our program. All right. So that brings me to the end of the Savvas Realize presentation. We are actually going to take this time now to do question and answer, our question and answer segment. And I would like to actually share my screen with you. And we're going to take a look at all of the different questions that you also may have from today. So we will open up the chat at this time for you to answer questions, and our moderator Lucy and Loretta will also be working with you to answer those different questions.
Thank you, Brandon, for the amazing session. We have some question in the chat box. A lot of the teachers, they were asking if they will get the recorded session. Yes, you will get the recorded session. Just contact your school administrator so they can contact our sales team, and we will happily provide with the recorded session. So that's one of the questions that we got in the chat box. That's basically everything that you saw today with the great Brandon. It's going to be the same layout as you have in your teacher account. So you won't have anything that is different. That's one of the questions that we also got. Okay. Another question that,
One of the
hey,
questions
Loretta.
that I received was, why do we use the e-text?
Yes, I was going to address this one.
Okay.
Can you please tell us about it?
So one of the reasons why we would use our e-text is the benefits of the e-text is it allows you to also not only share it with the students, but also interact with the students as well. Some of the features that we have in our e-text is you can highlight, and once you highlight the text, it allows you to download that highlighted text into a Word format. So you can use that to either create tests, quizzes, exams, or even just have notes for your students. Another benefit to the e-text is if the student does not have access to their books at home, I forgot my book, no need, no worry. They can go and log on and they can use their books in order to complete their assignments. And once it's downloaded, you don't have to have the internet to continue to use your book. So those are just a couple key features of our e-text and some of the benefits of using the e-text. Lucy?
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Loretta. We also have another question concerning the English. This is an overall session about the Realize walkthrough. If you want to attend for the English, I think you have all the timing, but we have another session today from 2 to 3:30 UAE time. So it's going to be 1 to 2:30 KSA time for the My View K to 5. We also have another great session that's coming for the upcoming month for all the subjects. Another thing, some of the teachers, one of the questions is, can we download the teacher edition? Yes, you can. As a teacher, you can download the student and the teacher edition. And keep in mind that the student edition is an interactive one. That's the beauty of it. So the students, they can play it as an audio, they can annotate, they can highlight. They have a lot of great resources and tools to utilize within the online edition. And if you haven't received your usernames and password, you will get them from your either your HOD or from your admin. We have another question. How can we send feedback to the students after quizzes and tests? Okay, you go to the mark, to the grade, you go to the assignments, you would see that you can leave a comment for them, and that comment will be sent to the student. Can we download the teacher and student book to have them while offline? Yes, you can download the student edition, teacher edition through an application called the Realize Reader. It's super easy to download, and you'll have access to all the books offline. We know sometimes with all the internet issues, you might have difficulties accessing the online ones. So that's why we have the application for you. Do we have?
We have a question about sharing the test. Currently, your school administrator can share tests and quizzes. They have that feature available to them. So if you have a test or quiz that you would like to share, you just give it to your school account manager, and they'll be able to share it with your colleagues. The platform is being updated so that you can share with your colleagues, but as of yet, the feature has not been turned on. So continue to look for it. In the near future, you will be able to share without going through your admin.
I'm gonna type in the chat box, the application. Okay. We have another question. Can we download the videos? Usually the videos, because of the copyrights, you can access them through the online resource, and you can assign them as well for the students. We have also another question. It's going to be, I think, the last question for today. Sometimes level texts are not available. How to get them? Usually all the level texts, if we're talking about science, English and math, they're embedded within the program. Just like Brandon showed us earlier, that the level text for the Elevate was and the Savvas readers. Same goes for the MyView and for all the programs in general. Okay, the last question is, how can I create a class? Super easy. You go to the classes, you'll see an icon called create class, but be careful when you create a class, you cannot delete it. You can hide it, but it cannot be deleted.